The live steam injector on my large Showman'S engine. I found problems with the pipework to the injector and I thought it was fixed, but apparently not. I changed the injector for a new one and it still didn't work. It is time to revisit the problem and see if I can fix it. This video also includes a quick look at what I'm doing in my recording studio at the moment. My proper job. This clip shows the original injector arrangement on the traction engine with an extra check valve in the circuit. I know it looks like it's working, but this is at very low pressure and it's still dribbling, so it's not working properly. Just in case you've never watched any of my other tutorial videos, this live steam injector injects cold water into the boiler without any moving parts other than a check valve inside it. They are very clever devices. This injector was quite an old one and it was originally from Jubilee Fittings, so I phoned David at Jubilee Fittings and ordered a new one. Before I continue this injector saga, I'd like to show you inside my recording studio. At the moment I'm really busy in the studio, composing, performing and recording the music for a children's show in the northeast of England. Here's a quick look round the studio and as you can see it's very well equipped. I'll give you a quick rundown on some of the keyboards that I use. The bottom keyboard here is a Yamaha Tyros 4, I have two of these. One that I use in the studio and the other one I use for live music work. I really do like the Yamaha Tyros 4, the sounds on it are quite good. And I personally find it to be a very useful studio tool. It's really good for quickly putting down ideas which then can be transferred into the Pro Tools program on the main computer. The red keyboard, as it clearly says on the front, is a Nord Electro 5. I only really use this keyboard for emulating a Hammond organ, which after a bit of tweaking from yours truly, it certainly does the job. This small keyboard above the Nord is the strangely named Moog Subsequent 37. It's a monophonic synthesizer with a sound that you only get from this type of synthesizer. The Electro 5D has a range of organ sounds and one of them is a pipe organ and it's quite sweet really. There are many other sounds on this keyboard, pianos and all sorts of things, but I really only ever use it for organ. Over the years I've played and worked on many Hammond C3 organs and I still love them dearly. And I could never figure out why most of the manufacturers never got anywhere near the tone wheel sound. And indeed with this particular keyboard it didn't sound very much like a Hammond C3 when I bought it until I started messing around with the EQ and the levels inside the keyboard. And now it's definitely near enough for rock and roll and jazz. This keyboard is a Brute, in fact it's called a Matrix Brute by a company from France called Arturia. Like the small Moog Subsequent 37, it's a monophonic synthesizer, but what a monophonic synthesizer. You can only play one note at a time. Well, apart from a really weird duo mode, which is a bit of a waste of time. It looks very complicated, and indeed it is, but it's very simple to program. I usually find a patch on the keyboard that resembles what I need and then edit it until it's exactly what I need. This is altogether an extremely useful machine. When I'm using the computer to record, I don't actually have to play these particular keyboards. I play a controller keyboard which talks to the individual keyboards. This is a Roland System 8 keyboard and it contains quite a lot of popular Roland analog synth sounds. It's a really useful polyphonic sweep that I never use really because it was used quite a lot on the introduction to some very popular feature films. Once again, here's the recording system. 3 monitors, 1 computer. This is called Pro Tools 12 and here the system is playing back a tune that I recorded the other day. The brief on this tune was it needed to have an 80s feel, so now I'm going to sectionalize it and show you the individual parts. The first sound was the bass drum, this one is the snare drum, with a stereotypically 80s gated reverb on it. The next track contains the hi-hats, but they're not very loud. This is the primary bass sound generated by the Yamaha Tyros 4. I probably won't use this track because I've recorded 2 other basses that are better. Maybe I can get it to sound better by applying some chorus. Yes, I think that sounds quite a lot better really. Just in case there are any viewers, and I really am sure there will be a few, who are getting ready to type a note to me to say, I didn't subscribe to this YouTube channel for music videos. Where are the steam engines? Well, please be patient. I'll get back to that in a minute. I can only make videos about what I actually do in life. Well, not everything. The acoustic guitar sound that you can currently hear is really useful. It's part of the native instrument package that lives in the computer. In this part of the clip you can hear the synthesizer basses a little bit more pronounced. This window is the mixer section of the program, and it's what I will use to finally balance up the track and make it sound good. You can hear the Hammond organ fairly clearly at the moment. I'll probably drop this in the mix. I didn't play the organ part using the controller keyboard or the computer. I played it directly from the Nord Electro 5D without the aid of a safety net. There you have it. This is my recording studio in action. This clip shows an early attempt at repairing the injector system. You don't really need to look very carefully to clearly see that the pipe union is cracked, and this was initially letting some air into the system. For live steam injectors to work, they need a constant, air-free column of water going into them. So this initially was no good at all. I snapped off the end using a pair of pliers, and the end broke off with surprisingly little effort. I discarded this piece of pipe altogether, and I made a new length of pipe to fit between the injector and the water inlet. Inside the tank I thought it would be a good idea to fit a water filter, and really this may be the problem. This component is really a fuel filter, and I modified it by making a fitting which I then drilled and tapped to fit on the end of the pipe. In this first attempt to get the injector to work, I made quite a few modifications, including fitting silicone O-rings to the old gas tap that's been used as a water valve, just to make sure it didn't let any air in. Here is the modified water system complete with the injector. The pipe at the bottom with the tap is the water bypass valve for the crankshaft driven pump and nothing to do with the injector. You can see two things in this image. One is a brand new injector, black not red, and the paintwork needs touching in around the flange. I almost forgot I made a further modification to this gas tap, and I thought it would be a good idea to enlarge all of the holes from the water tank to the injector. Here I'm selecting a suitable drill size, and I will drill through every part of this system, including through the gas tap as well, to enlarge the waterways. And here I'm doing just that. This long thread, when it's screwed into the flange, also supported the water filter that I put on the end. So now, as I've removed it, the water filter must be just laid in the bottom of the tank, which is not a problem. In this part of the clip you can see I'm drilling all the way through the gas valve, including the centre plug. I lost the nut off the end of the gas tap in the garden, so I thought, I know, I'll use my metal detector to find it. But unfortunately, where the brass nut fell onto the ground was right above where the electrical supply travels under the ground to feed the shed. It occurs to me that metal detectors are not very happy when they're in a place surrounded by metal. It's going mad here. This also could be why I do not get very good mobile phone reception in the workshop. Here I'm fitting a new blanking plug to the end of the water feed, using some Loctite 542 and tightening up the nut. Here are the O-rings in the taper plug, so there aren't going to be any leaks there. I thought I'd try a different kind of lubricant in the plug in the gas tap. I'm using some Servicol, which contains a residual silicone lubricant. I'm going to use a stainless steel nut for the one that I lost, and here it is. As you can see, the tap is picked up by the magnet, but the nut isn't, so it's stainless steel. I rethreaded the stainless steel nut 1/4 BSF to match the thread on the shaft. All I had to do then was screw it back together. The next part of the job is to fit this lot back onto the traction engine, steam the traction engine and see if the injector works. I will keep you posted. That is, as soon as I've finished the music project. This is most important. I have a lot of work to do in the studio because the deadline for delivery of this music is very close. To conclude this video, here's a shot of the water system that I've repaired, sat on the bench. I'd just like to say, stay healthy, thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my Mainsteam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. and by doing that you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists you can actually watch the videos back to back.